This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield and co-host Marnie Winfield.
Hey, so today's been a great day. Got my fines all paid off and motioned the court to finally see my daughter. Figured I'd call and let you know, man. All right, later.
It is the 1st of February, 2022. My name is Corey Winfield.
My name is Marnie Winfield.
Welcome to the 217 Recovery Podcast, which is going to be about family tonight. Talking about recovery, and we're talking about family in recovery. And we were watching Ozark earlier, and the dad of, what's that lady's name on the show?
Wendy.
Yeah, Wendy's father, because they were talking about Ben, who is Wendy's brother, who she had killed. Sorry if you...
Spoiler.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's spoiler from season 2, but either way, the dad who was the guy from the Waltons. Good night, John Boy. Was that John Boy?
I didn't watch the Waltons.
Oh, I didn't either then. And anyway, that's the dad in the show, the actor. And he was telling this private investigator that, oh, no, Ben, no, there's no drug problem with Ben. And what are you talking about? There's no drug problem. Oh, there's Wendy. She's just crazy. And she would say that. And then later on, when the girlfriend, the ugly chick, don't know her name.
Ruth?
Yeah, Ruth. She said that dude didn't have a drug problem either, which I don't remember if the dude did have a drug problem. I know he had some mental health issues going on. But it all brought me back to the family thing and how many families will lie to other people. Because first of all, if you think about it, it's nobody else's business. You know, so you can say, okay, we'll look at it like that. Okay, it's nobody else's business. But when people go out of their way to kind of keep it not a problem or keep it hidden, I think it hurts other people. Our good friend Tyrone, his nephew just passed. And he was telling me that, oh, the mom's saying this and that, and oh, he died from COVID. And Tyrone, he's just not buying it. He's like, that doesn't make sense. Because I guess the nephew had reached out to Tyrone and was like, hey, you know, I think I need some help and this and that. And Tyrone pointed him in the right direction, but you can't save anybody.
Right.
You know, you can't. It's up to them to do the things that they need to do to pull themselves out of it or to even make that call. And he didn't have enough time, I guess, and he passed away. And you know, Tyrone's just, it kind of eats him up. When I talked to him yesterday, he was actually talking about that and how it doesn't help anybody, but yet families will go out of their way to make it look like it was something else. You know, my family kind of did the same thing with a cousin, and they were just like, no, he died from drinking too much, and he, you know, choked on his vomit or whatever, you know, and that wasn't the case at all. But that's the story they wanted everybody to believe because they didn't want to think, oh, he's a drug addict, which I'm like, hello, alcohol is a drug. But that's acceptable to them that would happen. Or, oh, he was sick and, oh, well, he was seen going from the bar and, oh, he was really loaded. And, oh, yeah, that's not what killed him. It was the fentanyl that was in the heroin that he was using. So, you know, to just throw that out there to the public to let them know, like, hey, this stuff happens more than you think, instead of like keeping it down in the basement, as I like to say, you know. And I just think that it would help a lot more people just to kind of get the truth out there.
Well, I mean, there's something about, and it's always been this way, is that when people die of overdoses, it's a fault thing, you know, that it's like they physically made the decision to put themselves in that situation to do drugs, and the end result was an overdose.
Yeah.
They did too much of what they were addicted to. Now, us being, you know, people in recovery, having gone through addiction, it is a disease, and you are powerless, you know. And the sad part about it is that people die that way. People die from drinking themselves to death too. You know, it just sometimes takes a lot longer, sometimes not, you know. But yeah, when you hear the other reasonings for people that have passed, and it's never just attributed 100% to it was an overdose. You know, I don't know if that helps them get through it better. I think that's part of what it is. They know. They have to know. It's just they don't want to have to say goodbye to somebody that they, no matter what, they still miss them. But having them gone that way.
Yeah, they're gone. I mean, if the parents know, okay, the cops or whoever show up at the corner, they're like, yeah, he died from, fentanyl. Oh, okay, well, let's just tell the family at the funeral that it was, he choked on his vomit or whatever, and that alcohol, or that, he had the real bad case of the flu. That's what I'm talking about.
Right. That's exactly what I mean, is they don't want to what do they do? Just tell everyone to come to the funeral, and that's how they died.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they absolutely. It shouldn't be a shameful thing.
But do you think it's because they think, oh, I'm a bad parent for not stepping in or not knowing that, this was going on? I mean, my cousin was 40 something years old, I don't know. I think at that point you would just have to kind of
partially, probably.
Or
yeah.
do you think maybe as kids, they thought, oh, they didn't want them to know that their dad died this way? Or,
that too.
But see, I think it might hurt. It might sting a little. But death is death, and death does hurt. But it seems like the kids would at least go, okay, I'm not going down that same path. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Maybe our generation will be different. I would think that they will be. I think there's already been a lot of changes with that. That people are vocal about, if they've lost loved ones to an overdose, and the awareness piece. That's important.
Yeah, it is. Our friend Colin, who passed away almost a year ago, and his mom, I've talked about this story and how she saw him, and she said he would always react a certain way after he did this one drug, and he had promised her that he wouldn't do the drug, so she let him back in the house, and she came out in the kitchen, and he was choking or something. She was he'd always snap out of it. So she just kind of cussed him out and left the kitchen, I can't believe, you're doing this again in my house when you told me you went in. And she left and came back in the kitchen an hour later, and that's when she found him there slumped down on the floor, and he was purple, and she's like, oh my God, could have called the ambulance, and there's so many things, but at the end of the day, she, I think, is aware and accepts the fact that she didn't do the drug. It wasn't nothing that she did
right.
could have prevented him from wanting to do what he wanted to do.
Right.
But knowing that, man, if I just would have handled that different, we could have called 911. But like she said, this has happened many times, and normally he would snap out of it, and that time he didn't. That's got to be a real kick in the nuts. But she doesn't hide it, and Colin was a fun dude, man. He's way too young, and I just think the more people understand that, hey, it happens to wealthy people. It happens to the family that goes to church every weekend. It happens to poor people. It happens to everybody, white people, black people, American Indian, all of them. Mm-hmm. It happens to. Addiction, it does not discriminate. It doesn't care how old you are. It doesn't care. But we should be the ones that care. And I think by opening up about it, and like you say, maybe it's our generation that does that. And, I want it to be open enough to where you can walk into anywhere, a hospital, a school, anywhere, and just say, hey, I have a problem, I need help. And then go, okay. Not oh my God, it's so bad, to just act like it's the worst thing ever when it doesn't have to be, when help is out there, Mm-hmm. I mean, when people start gaining weight because they're eating too much fast food, and they're like, I'm not going to eat fast food for a while. When they tell their doctor that, the doctor's not like, oh my God, we got to get you some help. We got to send you here, staying off that fast food's hard. And maybe, I don't know, that's a horrible comparison. Maybe it wasn't.
Well, for the addiction and what you're saying with the doctors is, so we get to a point where it really should be evaluated. If somebody's asking for help, that means they need help. They're not just, maybe they should be sent away for, 30 days or whatever is fitting for them, in their circumstances, whatever their relationship with drugs and alcohol is. We don't know.
Right.
But, I mean, I for sure have seen changes, since I was little. We know that. Like, how did we learn about drugs and alcohol? DARE. Those cheesy little, where they had them in the auditorium.
Yeah. Assemblies.
What are they? Assemblies, yeah. Stuff like that was just so cliche and just, but that's the way it was then.
Yeah, we had this guy come. That was in 4th grade. I think it was when I remember the first one. And the guy, it was this Your Brain on Drugs campaign. And the guy was wearing some kind of, I can't remember what shirt, but he was almost a cartoon character to all of us. And he was talking about how he did drugs and now he doesn't. And I don't know. It just didn't relate to me. And I don't know. It's hard to sit there and relate it to people. But when somebody has an older brother who may be going through it, or maybe an older brother who has died, like I said, it's younger and younger now. Mm-hmm. Maybe that would help them a little bit understand. Mm-hmm. Like these aren't bad people. It's not it's not a judge of moral character. It's just sometimes we get caught up in, whether it be peer pressure or just the curiosity of, is that so bad? Well, I know somebody who does it and they're not dead. This is just this, they're just telling us this not to, which was, I felt in my case, like with cocaine and marijuana back in the day. Oh, this is so bad for you. And then you try it and you're like, oh, the curiosity, and you're like, oh, I'm not dead. Like this, this isn't as bad. And I realized, man, this isn't as bad as alcohol. Back then, that's what I thought. And I was like, okay. But if the younger generation could just see, what really is going on out there, and, that help is right around the corner. They said that 7% of the people that have a substance use disorder seek help for it. Could you imagine if everyone did? Mm-hmm. We need more treatment centers. I mean, there's so many, and we need more treatment centers like right now.
Yeah.
There's just not enough.
Yeah.
And I don't know why there's not. We would like to have a treatment center one day. Mm-hmm. Why not? And when I say why not? Oh yeah, we might as well do it too. No, it's because I know that there needs to be more. Mm-hmm. And we are willing to help out in many ways. And if that's a way that we can help out, and that's the way we can do things, then we will. And, obviously I'm not going to run it, but we'll make sure that we have the right people on board. And, me being the position I'm in with the company, that's kind of my job, is to get things moving forward in different avenues, and, getting the right people on board and working with the right people is one of the hardest things for me right now. We want to give back. We want to help people in early recovery. And one of the things that brought me hope and inspiration was doing this podcast. I know there's other people out there too that have different things that they would like to do to give back, and we want to help them as much as we can. But being in early recovery, it took me a total of I think 3 years of in and out bounce after I realized, okay, I have a problem. It took me 3 years to finally nail it down as much as I could to finally get to this point where I am now. Mm-hmm. But there are good people out there. A friend of ours, friend of the podcast, friend of mine, Jason Vaughter, his 7 years is coming up on Thursday, and he's going to do a podcast with me about that. And, people like him, there's tons of people out there that we can, call on to help us. Laura, who wants to be on the podcast Thursday too. So we're doing double podcast duty, maybe. Mm-hmm. Not to go to Detroit that day too. So that's wonderful. Mm. So it'll be a busy day for sure. But anyway, yeah, just the family aspect of it. And I don't think my mom ever hid the fact. I mean, maybe she did at the early stages of it. But once I had the whole hospital thing happen, I think then she started to kind of really open up about it to other people. Mm-hmm. And then, she would just straight up put me on blast on Facebook. Sometimes she wouldn't, But other times she would, and say, hey, my son has a problem and, he's been missing and we're looking for him. It didn't take long for people to put 2 and 2 together. And then when like her friends and people would actually reach out to her and talk to her on the phone, she would tell them, yeah, my son.
Yeah, I can relate to that. My mom was notorious for her friends were her counselors, apparently. And so she always felt like, and the thing is too, is now I don't blame her for, everything that I put her through and the worry and the concern and fear that she needed to talk to people about it. And I know she had a therapist and she went to Al-Anon and all that, and they all knew me. And she would be like, I told them about you and your, and that you're struggling. And I'm like, Jesus, Mom. Like, but then I stopped because I'm like, well, it's the truth. Because, at that point, I had accepted that I needed to figure it out. I just didn't know how.
See, now when she talks about you to her friends or they ask, well, how's Marnie? And they have it, probably in that, is she okay? And I bet your mom's just proud as hell to go, yep, look what she's doing now. She works here at this great treatment facility. She's doing great. She has a husband who's amazing.
Yeah.
And she's on this podcast and things are just going so wonderful. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. That's the good part.
Yeah.
And not everybody gets to come out of it like we have so far. But I think that gives hope to other people.
Yeah, for sure.
It should. Hell, if we can do it. We were some sad MFers, man.
Oh yeah.
It was, and I didn't know you then, but but from stories and we were right there in equal bad MFers. And we weren't bad people, but just where our minds were at, and we were just lost.
Yeah.
And I had no hope, no inspiration. The thought of dying young was like, well, okay, at least I won't hurt anybody anymore.
That's exactly. I thought that way.
Yeah. And then you realize, no, you're going to be hurting people for the rest of their lives. They're going to miss you. My brothers, your brother, your sister, they're going to miss you. Your nieces, they're going to miss you, and they will. And I just remember thinking that I didn't want my nephews walking past like a picture of me and then going, oh, there's Uncle Corey. Yeah, he was so cool. And then having to explain, oh, well, he died, because he drank himself to death. But he was so awesome. He was my favorite uncle. And man, I wish he was still around today.
Yeah.
I didn't want that to happen. But that wasn't what made me quit drinking. Just I didn't want that to happen, but it was one of the things. There was many different things that went into that, and especially even being accountable, being held accountable, and having consequences for my drinking. Because before I would just go to rehab, and hey, I'm going to rehab. We've talked about this many times. There's a guy, I keep calling people kids. This man who's kind of the same way, and I see a lot of early me in him when he's just like, oh, hey man, this happened, and it's not my fault. It's everybody else's fault. And I think we talked about this the other night too, or putting that shield around the alcohol where you don't realize it, but it's alcohol's fault. If you don't want to blame yourself, then damn it, blame alcohol. Because without the alcohol, none of this other would have happened. So how can you say it's these people's fault? We did talk about that the other day. But, for him, he just has to, my personal opinion as a professional radio broadcaster, for him, he's just got to man up and want it. He's got to change. He's got to do the things that he needs to do to change his life around. And that means not waking up and doing the same thing you did yesterday.
Yep.
That's my advice for him. That was free. And it wasn't asked for, but there it is. He's probably not listening anyway. So more power to him. But if you're a family member, talk about it with your family and say, hey, Jeff, has a problem and we know it, and we should probably stop hiding it. And let's talk to Jeff like a grown man that he is, and tell him that there's help out there. And let's not belittle him. He's going to make excuses. He's got tons of them why he shouldn't go to treatment. It's scary to go to treatment at first, but when you go like a bunch of times, it's fun, which is crazy. but it is, and it is what you make of it. But not everybody needs to go to inpatient treatment. There's outpatient treatment, but there are different ways and different supports for people where they can change. And a lot of times, I'd say 98% of the time, you don't change until something bad happens. Mm-hmm. You're just going to keep on going, losing friends, losing family members, don't care. I'm not talking about death, but just losing them is like they don't want to talk to you. That's their loss. That's their problem. But then it gets bad and you just like realize, like, my whole world just came crumbling down.
Yeah. I remember just at times that I would just be like, I know I need to change. Like, I know something needs to happen. I know I need to do something. But then I felt it got to the point where I had tried rehab. I had tried outpatient. I had tried a substance use addiction counselor. I had tried sponsor. I felt like I had tried it all. And I felt like I was tried out. Like it was my fate. And that was, it was exhausting. And it was saddening because I was like, I'm going to try one more thing and then it's not going to work. That's where I was at. And it had to be like, I had to just be like, I don't know what it is, but I need to put my faith in something that I can't live like this anymore. That's all I got. I didn't need it. I didn't want to have some kind of like grandiose solution. Like, okay, I'm going to do this X, Y, and Z, and then I'm going to be sober. It was just like, I just got to be done. Mm-hmm. That was it.
Yeah.
I know it sounds so ridiculous to say it like that, but past that, there was no figuring out. It was just, that was it. Just, I had to be done.
Yeah, just eliminate it from being an option. Be like, oh, what am I going to do? You're going to drink today? No, I'm not going to drink today. It's not an option for me. Mm-hmm. I'm done. I don't do that anymore. Like, you have to get to that point, unfortunately. But like you said, it takes some people longer, some people shorter. But I'd say most people, it takes the hard, long route. And, if you just look at a family member, if somebody has a problem who's struggling, like I said, just, talk to them. And maybe they haven't tried things, maybe they have. But when you start trying those things, just make a mental note of this if you're talking to a family member about it. And you can take this from Arnie and I know you'll agree with this, honey, is that it is so much harder trying to hold on to that sick, horrible, shitty life than it is to just let go and just let go.
Yeah.
Give up and start a new life.
Yeah.
I don't know why I held on to that shitty life for so long. I don't know what I thought I'd be missing. It's horrible.
And how many times were we in those situations, those shitty situations, feeling so crappy, physically, emotionally, spiritually, everything, and all we wanted is to be like, I just want to be out of this. I don't want any of this. Yeah. I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to look this way. I don't want to be around these people. I don't want to react this way. I don't want to, all the things that we were feeling and existing were nothing that we wanted. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand why we held on to it.
Yeah. How many hospital visits do we go to that aren't fun? And yet 2 months later, after we're, all right, I'm not going to drink again. We go to treatment or whatever, come back out. And then 2 months later, we're drinking again.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? It makes no sense, but that's addiction.
Yeah.
That's how it works. But if you can approach it with a different mindset of, okay, I'm really going to go through with this and I'm going to make the changes I need to make. You're going to go there to treatment. You're going to hear some things. That's cool. Yeah. But you have to do it. You have to did you want to introduce a new family member?
This is Luna.
She just made her appearance.
She's a little new baby kitty.
She's an all gray kitty.
She's all gray, cute kitty. She's very, yeah.
She's not a happy kitty right now.
No, she's fine. She's just been playing, and she gets mad when I don't pay all my attention.
Oh, yeah. So back to what I was saying is that I don't really remember. But no, when you go into a treatment, you go into a program, you're the one that has to do it all. You have to make the changes, and that starts from what you eat in the morning to who you talk to. Are you finding those places that you need to go to? Are you having fun at them? Go to an AA meeting, go to NA meeting. Celebrate Recovery, Dharma. Find some that you like. Maybe you hit some meetings online. Make a schedule for yourself. Do the things that normally you wouldn't want to do, and then do them and find joy in them. Mm-hmm. I like coffee. Okay, cool. The in-person meetings are definitely for you. Just find those things, make them fun, and enjoy them. And then you'll start to enjoy life, and you'll just think, damn, why didn't I do that sooner?
Yep.
But that's all we got today. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. The app, still free, still in the stores. Play Store, Google Play Store, and the App Store. So get that. It's free. And if you have any suggestions, we were probably going to put up the AA readings again since they're already posted. Mm-hmm. Might as well throw them up there again.
Yeah.
So look for that soon, too, on the app. And I mean soon, like within the next day or so, depending on when you're listening to this, it might already be there. Get the app. It's free. And we will talk to you on Thursday, maybe twice. It should be fun. All right, take care.
All right, night, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the 217 Recovery Podcast. For more episodes plus bonus features, download the 217 Recovery app and support recovery by rating us in the App Store.